And we are back with the Cummins Real Estate Show with Michelle Cummins and myself, Curtis Pope. And of course, we have Alex here right now. Now, Alex, what is the stress test and its impact on borrowers' ability to obtain financing?
Okay. So the stress test was put in place quite a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm guessing now. I can't remember exactly. But it's essentially qualifying for your mortgage at a rate that's 2% higher than what you're paying. Okay. So right now, if you got a rate of 5.5, you got to qualify at 7.5. Okay. So that's a significant rate, you know. And when they put it in place many years ago, rates were around 2%, you know. And they said, we're going to qualify you at a stress test of 2% over your rate or 5.25, whatever the greater is. Okay. So we were qualifying at 5.25 for many years because people's stress test was below 5.25. But now we've blown past 5.25. So now we're qualifying at 7.5%, 8%. So that's a significant increase in the qualification rate, and it probably drops your ability to borrow by about 20%. So let's say $1 million mortgage you could have qualified for 3 years ago, you know. Now you're down to about $800,000 because the rate is so much higher.
Do you see the government changing or lowering the stress tests as the rates go up, or do you think they're just blind to that and just won't?
There's some like industry thought that they could get rid of it now, you know, because it served its purpose. Was like, okay, we got past this 5.25 rate, or we got to this 5.25 rate, which is essentially what everybody's kind of paying right now. It's the 5 to 6% range. So we're here now, you know, unless they feel like, oh, we're going to 8% with rates, then we should keep this in place, right? But if we're here now where the stress test was, then yeah, it's probably served its purpose. But, you know, they're going to be slow to change that for sure.
What do you think about this idea? I don't know if anybody else has thought of it, but I was thinking they should make the interest rates to the average price of a property in each municipality throughout Canada rather than a blanket interest rate for all of Canada. Have you ever thought of that? Is that something that possibly is a good idea?
I haven't thought about it, but what would you propose then? Certain communities would get certain rates?
So let's say there's an average price of $300,000. They could pay possibly a little higher rate than the larger properties. Now, only saying because our area, the Fraser Valley, Greater Vancouver and Vancouver, is so, as people say, unaffordable. And they can't get into the market. Once you get out, it's hard to ever get back in. So sort of for scenarios like that where we, the people, have no control over the prices because we don't have enough homes for the roofs over our heads, and this is a concentrated area where the work is, you know, compared to other areas in Canada, so we have to live here to work.
Dense population here, other major cities, right?
Yeah, and we can't control the prices as they go crazy, but maybe we can control the interest rate in certain areas.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking.
The way banks lend money, like if you go to, let's say, RBC or TD or those kind of banks, right, or even a credit union, and you borrow money, half the time they're not even lending you their own money. What they're doing is they're borrowing money from the market. So they go to investors, like big investment funds, and say, hey, give us money. So investment fund A gives them 5-year rates gives them 5-year money at 4%, right? Now they got to lend that out at something higher than 4 to make money, right? So they got to lend it out at 5.5, you know. And so that's the problem. If you're like, hey, look, I want you to lend out to this community at 3.5%, they're going to lose money on. They won't be able to do that because they're going to take a loss on that, and then they're going to have to offset that loss with much higher costs on the other side to the smaller communities.
Makes perfect sense.
So so I think that it's a cool idea, but I think it would be hard to fly by some big bankers.
The math involved is just way out of my reach.
Well, you borrow, like I say, like right now they're borrowing money in the high 3s. The banks are borrowing money in the high 3s. They're lending it out in the mid to high 5s. So they got a 2% spread, right? That's their spread. You think they're making 5.5, and you're not making 5.5. They're making a 1.5 to 2% spread, less their costs now. They borrowed it at 4, but they're paying, all their staff. They're paying for their buildings and all that stuff. So that eats up,
everything people don't think of.
Yeah, there's a cost to all to their. They call it a spread. If their spread's 2%, maybe it's actually 1.2 when you factor in all their costs.
Are your clients actually still looking at purchasing like new homes, and like how's that compared to the last 2 years?
A lot of people were upgrading before, like at the start of COVID when the rates dropped, the government was pumping money into the economy. Everybody was upgrading like crazy because they're like, oh, I can get more money for my house, so I'm going to upgrade now. But a really good time to upgrade is in a down market. Because, the example I give you is, let's say you got $1 million home, and let's say you want to buy $1.5 million home. What happens if both homes drop 10%, right? Your home drops about $100,000, but your other home drops $150,000. So it's actually a cash positive situation for you, right?
It's a beautiful time to move up.
100%.
Yeah.
When there's the most fear in any investment is the time to get in.
That's true. And that's where people get fearful and they hold back and they don't do the right thing.
Especially like if you own a home already, then you've already taken the appreciation of the market, and now you can take that to your next home. And you're going to get a deeper discount on your next home, just where the market is, right? So
I tell my clients that all the time.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of lenders are there besides the big banks to help borrowers qualify?
So, you take your typical, there's your big 5 banks we all know, like TD, RBC, BMO, all those guys. Then there's your local credit unions. Those are all provincial, right? Like Envision, Coast Capital. Those are all provincially regulated. And then there's a whole raft of other lenders out there. Like, we call them monoline lenders. So they're lenders that don't have branches. So you've heard of Tangerine, for instance. That's a big one.
Yes.
It used to be called ING. That, for instance, is Scotiabank's online division. So it's actually a bank. It's a full bank, but just no branches. So you have the no frills rates, but you have the services all online. So there's all sorts of lenders like that. We probably have 10 to 20 of those lenders that all offer A-rate mortgages. Okay, their rates are usually the same or cheaper than the banks because they don't have big buildings to pay for, right?
Oh, interesting.
It's all lean and mean. And then after that, so those are all your A lenders. Then we go to B lenders to get more creative with income calculations. The B lenders are about 1% higher than the banks, okay, in rates. So they're lending at about 6.5 right now, but they'll get very creative with your income. And then, of course, last but not least is private lenders. So if you just need money, just based on equity, there's private loans, and those start at 8 or 9%. So it's like a last resort alternative to help you out if you need to. But it is there, for some people that need it,
Yeah, like credit cards, in the 18 to 20-something% range, and people are, buying things on credit cards, and then, a larger portion you're borrowing is a lot less. But, just the interest rates where they go, we've been here before, up and down, all around, and it's just riding through the times when they do go up. What are your thoughts on the future for rates, and do you think we'll ever get back down to that, free money, free borrowing?
I don't think we'll get that low unless there's serious problems. I mean, you have to have serious problems to get that low. But the norm in the last 15 years, is I would say 3 to 4%, high 2s sometimes, low 4s, but 3 to 4, that was that's kind of the norm for a long time, So I would expect to get back there.
Nice.
And I would say that would be reasonable, and it would be okay, we're not going to go drive the market through the roof again with 1.5 or 2%, and then we're not going to kill the market with where we're at right now. So kind of a reasonable middle ground, right? And we just want, we all want a stable real estate market, right? We don't want things blowing up or in either direction too much, right?
Exactly.
We've
Problems
seen
for a lot of people, right?
and we've seen how quick they were able to raise them. How quick can they bring them back down, say, in a year and a half from now?
Yeah, like the Bank of Canada. So the Bank of Canada is what controls the prime rate. And when they come down, they're going to bring it down slowly. So for us in variables, don't be expecting coming down a half point at a time. We're getting down here quickly. No, I would say a quarter point and maybe 3 to 4 drops in a year is my guess. That's my guess, though.
That's good.
So, yeah.
That's good. Now, your story about this is a great time to move up, buy up. Again, I have this amazing property hitting the market next week off Richards Avenue in Mission, completely private, gated, fully fenced, long, beautiful driveway. It is such a nice home, over 6,000 square feet, and the sports court is amazing. The detached workshop garage. So this would be a perfect time to move up into that. The price is $3.3 million. And so if you have something out there and you'd like something better, call me. And then call Alex first for your pre-approval, and then call me.
3-level home?
Yeah, no, it's a rancher with a fully walkout daylight basement that is beautiful. It's got a bar down there. It's really set up to entertain. Yeah. Their pool table is straight out of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's a really neat property. Yeah. And another new listing coming up, I might as well mention right now, is a condo in Garrison in Chilliwack, that Garrison Crossing area. So, and the furniture is going to be included. So if you're looking for a condo in that area, you can find that, or just call me. That'll be on the market next week as well. And you know what? Do we have time for? Did you want to ask another question at all?
I was just going to ask you. I know you last weekend you were up in Oliver, and what about that listing?
Oh yeah, Oliver. That is such a beautiful area, and you know what? I don't get out much. I tend to be a workaholic. But I was like, every opportunity I can. Okay, so I have this listing in Oliver. I go out there and I am in love. This property is brand new. It's being built right now. You can still choose colors and options. And it's a rancher with a fully walkout daylight basement, overviewing the fruit orchards and wineries, of course. And Mount Baldy is there to ski and to snowboard. And then all the lakes. And then there's the racetrack out there. With the go-kart track. It's amazing. Area 4057, I think it's called, 27, Area 27.
Area 27.
The racetrack.
Yeah, it's such a neat place. So that is up for sale. And actually, it's being sold as 5 parts. So it's a holding company that owns it. You purchase the holding company, no property transfer tax, no GST, even though it's brand new, because you'd be purchasing the holding company. And each portion, the 5 portion owners, is $250,000. So you can go in with family, all buy together. You can go in with friends, and it's all done all well. You don't have to worry about creating a holding company or partnership or anything. There it is. An investment group, you can do $1,100 a day rental through VRBO, Airbnb. Now, one of the actual sellers, it runs a property management company. They're giving away 2 years of free property management to where they will place the tenants. If you want to do short-term rentals, you're allowed to do that. And and there's a suite in it as well. So cool. 2 living spaces. So that's
extra rental income.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I don't have a quote for today. I was wondering, Alex, you're our guest. Do you have a quote you go to?
Oh,
let's put you on the spot.
You know what? In my office, I have a plaque. It says, "If you can imagine it, you can achieve it." I've had that, Sarah, since 2006. So
I love
every once
that.
in a while, I look at that and I'm like, the mind's a powerful thing.
It's true.
So, yeah.
That's excellent.
That's a good one. All right, Michelle, if people want more information about you and the services you provide, where can they go?
MichelleCummins.ca.
And join us again next week when we will talk real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.